Let's first of all find out where you stand on the issues of UFOs. You were sceptical when you first took the job. Are you still sceptical?
I'm less sceptical than I was. I think, you know, looking at the sorts of interesting reports in these files, the ones from police officers, pilots, military personnel, the ones tracked on radar, you know, there's material there that certainly makes me think twice. It's not all misidentifications of aircraft lights and weather balloons.
Is there any one report that stands out as extraordinary or perhaps most convincing?
One in the new files that I particularly like is a radar sighting where an object travelled 10 nautical miles in 12 seconds, about 3,500 miles an hour. And that's on a military radar. So, you know, it takes the evidence to a whole level over and above just eyewitness testimony.
Could that be explained away by something like ball lightning? Would that show up on a radar?
It really shouldn't. I mean, the assessment given at the time, of course, science actually isn't quite sure about ball lightning, so that's almost explaining one mystery with another. But the military radar operators said, well, you know, it looks like a real solid return.
What about this case in Suffolk at the US military airbase, which people talk about as being Britain's Roswell?
Yes, Rendlesham Forest from December 1980. There are a few new papers on this in the files. This was extraordinary because a UFO landed and was seen by dozens of military witnesses, and critically they took a Geiger counter to the landing site after this thing had gone, and the radiation levels that they discovered, the MOD's defence intelligence staff said that they seemed significantly higher than background.
I'm also intrigued that some of these unidentified flying objects could be spying missions by other countries.
Well, that's one possible thought, and of course, you know, that's how we get into the whole UFO business, concern about intrusion into our airspace.
I'm being very cynical for a moment. I mean, am I the only one that thinks it odd that a lot of these reports started to come in after the release of Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Well, that was certainly quite a year, but I think it may have played a part, but I think what it did is it raised awareness about the issue and maybe encouraged people who'd had sightings who might otherwise have stayed silent to come forward. I don't think it necessarily generated the sightings itself.
I'm sure you get all kinds of observations coming in and all kinds of sightings. Is there any one that's been particularly bizarre, and how do you separate, how do you decide which one to put down in your files?
It depends on the quality of the information and the witness, but the sorts of things that I looked for were, is there some piece of evidence that means that you've got more than just somebody's word, a photo or a video that the MOD's technical specialists can look at, radar returns, things like that. One
final question. All right, there are a lot of crackpots out there. That's what you were alluding to. Some of them are complete nutters, but you know, a lot of these unidentified flying objects could be man-made. We talked about the possibility of spying aircraft.
Missions, yeah.
I suppose they could have come from elsewhere in the universe. What do you think? Are we alone?
I'm convinced there's life out there. As to whether any of it's coming down here, the politicians answer, I can't rule it out.